and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, and welcome again to the topic of the Twin Soul Reunion, which I'm going to discuss today. As I've promised to all of you that I will go deeper into this topic. So I will also use this in a deeper contemplative version of what I'm going to be talking about in my upcoming course, which will be on the nature of multidimensional ascension, because the twin soul reunion is basically a mission, a purpose, a unification that is present on all levels, on all realms, on all timelines for those of us who are truly remembering what is divine union. So as I will discuss today's topic, I want to bring some of the things that I put on my board today. I usually use my board only in my seminars, so my courses. But I said today I want to do a tiny little change of the scenery, so changes are always welcome. Before I start with today's topic, I really wish to say some of the words on the nature of what we might be feeling now for a lot of us is that we are stepping into this year of powerful co-creation. For a lot of us, it has probably felt on this journey as Ascension Pioneers that we've been really doing a lot of the things alone, a lot of the things were in isolation, and we were preparing and building foundations for what we bring here to contribute to our, with our own unique service. But what's going to take place in several years to come in the near future is there's going to be a equalized harmonic communion with souls who are in a similar timeline that we are for the greater good of all in terms of collaboration and collaborative efforts. I also wish to tell you today that I am working on this collaboration that we're talking about with one of my sacred sisters. So we wish to bring you this aspect of today's topic as well, which will be on the nature of, how to really live in this world as human beings, are the cosmic union, because a lot of us have this divine remembrance of what it really means, cosmic union, which means on all levels and all timelines and all parallels, on the multidimensional nature of our being. But also here as humans, how do we bring that and descend it into our human form? How do we as humans are able and capable of living this divine reunion? So this is something we really wish to bring together as a co-creation. I will let you know this is possible and when it's available. But so far, this will be a preview of today's video of the things that I know so many people are interested in, but so few people still really give the clarity of. I would really like to recommend this beautiful couple. They do these Ascension and Twin Soul seminars, and they're called Jody and Bart. They do also beautiful music together. Everything, I haven't listened so much from them, but so far everything I've listened from them, maybe 2 seminars, really resonated with what I'm saying myself. And some of the things are just, it's not like we are copying from each other, but certain souls who have this deepening of this awareness are just tuning into that same essence of what it really means to be reunited in divine love. I also wish to tell you that some of the things that I will share today, not everybody will probably resonate with, because they're specific to some of you who might have this path. Because a lot of beings on the path of a twin soul reunion, they're going through many various relationships leading to this divine union in order to heal this collective timeline, which was the distorted and falsified masculine and feminine. So these are some of the things I want to talk about today. I wrote them down so that I don't forget. We'll see how this goes. As always, I like to keep it open and intuitive and flow and give you some of the example towards the end. But for a lot of you, this will be very specific in order. So check in with your intuition, look at your path. What's the nature of your path? If you find resonance of what I'm going to share today about a very specific path for those of you who are, in a way, collective timeline healers, so that in the end, what we're actually doing, the mission of the twin soul is always this complete reunion, basically of the masculine and feminine essences, even though we're still in this body, even through this embodiment process, becoming one and joined in a sacred marriage, what we like to call it. So what's the difference between the male and female? You know, and we like to talk about our inner male and female, which we all have. I might be a woman in this body, but I also have an inner male and inner female. I also creatively express it as my outer female and outer male. Basically, it's like a yin yang symbol, right? And the infinity symbol, which connects both creation and the eternal nature of our being. So, what's the difference between the male and female and versus masculine and feminine? So the masculine and feminine are essences. And in truth, we, as we were experiencing life in creation, we have been tuning into both beautiful, harmonious, truthful, divine feminine and divine masculine, as well as we were creating from the aspects which were distorted masculine, distorted feminine. What these are is, you know, we can't really base a question on what was first, because I've seen a lot of people talk about, yeah, the women did it first, or, you know, the women started repressing men, and then this turned down on them, and then some say vice versa. It's almost like talking about what was first, you know, the chicken or the egg. Basically, this is not the right approach, because everything, when you understand the nature of the infinity symbol, goes both ways. So you go this way, you also go this way. So you see, it always is created in this flow. So when we started tuning into that, we simultaneously entered the realms of experiencing the distorted masculine and the distorted masculine feminine qualities, which I would specify. For example, the distorted masculine frequency would be trying to dominate, trying to control the feminine, or, you know, trying to use power over, and, you know, gathering resources, and, you know, what we now like to feel as the collective, which we say it's very patriarchal. We feel like, oh, it's trying to control us, it's trying to dominate. Basically, that's the essence of the overall usage of power and control, because the feminine aspect was denied. And the distorted feminine would be, you know, that feeling of losing your connection to source and feeling powerless. And in a way, this goes hand in hand. None of it was first, as the fall was experienced as just an experience. Both were experienced simultaneously. So it's not like what started first, you know, is the seed, because in true nature of harmony, the male and female are always reciprocal to one another, even though we might feel there's not balance. But the lack of something will bring the aspect of the overall of something is going to be more dominant in a way. So that means that at the end there will be equilibrium, but it's going to be in distortion. It won't be through that perfection of equal harmonization, which is the true purpose of the twin soul reunion, within and without. So what took place, you know, and in eons of the ages that we were going through. And my mom was just telling me that she was reading this great book, and what was described there was that even in the stages of Neanderthals, that, you know, with the brain capacity that I've had, they still felt the females were being stronger, and instead of embracing a part of the feminine essence, which was stronger in certain aspects because they were complementary to each other, but because of that egoic tendency to not understand that, what they did was repress the feminine. They always, when they had periods, because that's when women are the strongest, they abolished them and they put them to the side, and they always they were even killing them and things like that. So a lot of these things they're rooted from not just these ancient times, we will say, here on earth, but they go far back. These are archetypal stories being played out throughout our cosmos. So basically, in different star systems, we're carrying these lineages within. And the mission of the twin soul, therefore, is the illumination of our essence, which is the creative force, the life force that can only create imperfection through the equalization of the feminine and masculine as an essence, because that's the first primary in terms of source nature. And as this took place, this was the root. And we can't root this out before we understand where did it actually and why did it actually take place. So it was to experience these distortions in order to one day say, wait a minute, well, what's really about? How are we learning here? How are we growing in wisdom? And, you know, if we're just repeating this over and over again, we're continuing to be childish instead of childlike. That's a very big difference. So the masculine and feminine as essences are basically the primary forces of all life in creation. So let's say when you have a reciprocal adoration and respect, this mutual reception, let's say, when we are in harmony, the realization that the feminine essence is powerful in certain ways, by adoring that, by actually embracing that as a virtue, and how this companionship is built through that, opposing polarities in terms of still being in balance, we will see that there's a mutual co-creation coming from that. So instead of seeing ourselves weak at the expense of something feeling stronger than we are, then we will again create this duality and we won't come closer in union. So if you fear something is stronger than you, usually what will happen is you will either repress it, suppress it, or try to control it. So either way, when these, what we like to say now about our patriarchal society, we say, well, women were oppressed for so long. So a lot of the women are now realizing, why are men so weak? It's because the answer is not for the women to become now the overriding element of this divine equation. Um, they're not supposed to become independent in the way that they are the carriers of everything without embracing their softness and their femininity. So what this means is that, again, we're still playing in the loop. The whole harmonization is about the divine masculine and feminine as an essence coming together in an equal manner. So the androgynous nature of our being. A lot of you as ascension pioneers, as you came to this planet, you came here completely balanced already. That was, in my case, that was the truth. And when I had my first star reading, the woman told me that I already came as a completely balanced masculine feminine counterpart. And I knew that to be true. But also when I started my life in this journey of awakening and ascension, I needed to physically integrate and embody that. And that's why relationships come. And each relationship will be an integration of more of your inner male and female, so that the external representation of it will grow in strength as well, because that's what we're doing. A lot of you are in this mission that collectively, when you're going through these relationships, when you're healing these distortions by healing it within yourself, that does not necessarily mean that you as a soul, you had these issues or that these are karmic things, but because of the nature of your understanding as a luminary, you've taken this as your mission. And that was definitely so in my case. And you become an advocate for the integration of the feminine and masculine essences in one joint polarity. So the answer would not be in, okay, they're stronger, so I feel weaker, so I either have a tantrum about it, I suppress it, or I completely deny it, or I take out the feminine aspect. Because when you do it in the external with the other person, when we're playing this dynamics out in relationships, you're also doing this to yourself. And there's a lot of hurtful things we do to each other, or we express with words, that basically when we believe we do them onto others, the person who suffers the most is usually the one that says this, that has an essence of something that is egoic coming out. They, in the end, they come out being wounded the most by themselves. So that's what we need, the compassion. Let's say if there's a distorted masculine that became very weak, a lot of women call this, that man is a mama's boy, I'm not gonna want to have to do anything with them. So what this means is, again, we corner them out. And that does not mean that now you, as a powerful woman who is embracing your androgynous nature, your equalization, that you're also powerful not just as a woman, but you also have a masculine side. These are essences within you that you express externally as well. That doesn't mean now you're going to take on a partner that is not your equalized mirror. But what I'm saying is the lack of compassion is still that which plays out in the dynamics of our relationships. And as you go through these relationships, a lot of the times you will get annoyed and angry or frustrated because certain people won't mirror what you believe you have embodied. But even though you might not have issues in those terms that are egoic in nature as they do, you will still have to play a role of being very deeply compassionate for what they might still be going through. If they're moving into separation, if they're moving into this a lack of inner harmony with all the love that you have, in a way you need to assist by holding that light of understanding that it's not easy for them. So instead of cornering them out because they're weak, it's like women say, well, the man did that to us back in even in the Neanderthal times, so we're going to do it back to them, and now we're going to be the stronger link. No, this does not actually heal or solve anything. Like I said, it's an endless loop, and it's going on these repetitive cycles which just continue to create even external creations that we do in this physical plane that we bring about. They're mirroring that. They're mirroring the absence of unity in our inner self. So This mirroring and integration that I wrote about here, what this means is that every time something it comes up, it's up for us to integrate it. I'm going to start talking here about the people who are within the mission of healing this timeline. So this timeline, not all the timelines simultaneously, you can't do the work for absolutely everything. But when you have your specific mission, and if a part of this mission is to bring about this change and to bring about this integration, you will feel it, you will be guided. And I have to say that as I always felt my beloved as me, it was never like separate. I never sought out for it. I never felt I'm searching for this perfect someone who will fulfill me. It was different for me. And even now, my beloved essence and energy, it's more ethereal in nature than anything else. As well, I also believe that we also need to experience this physically as humans. So watch out for that co-creation that I spoke about before. How can we integrate that and experience as human beings? But the whole nature here is that we start really feeling into what is our inner journey, because there's so much being shared about this path that people are saying that's how it is. This is the status quo for twin flames. They make up these names and phases and stages they're supposedly having to go through. That does not exist, because these are again mental concepts that we put and we label things like they have certain stages and phases. Well, every single reunion will reflect the journey you have chosen as a unique soul counterpart. So the overall theme, the only theme there is, that's the true nature, and I wrote here the twin soul purpose, is to really, really bring about the inner harmonization, the equilibrium, this perfect balance of your inner male, inner female, so that you can externally express them as well. You might have this developed on a soul level, but I've said before that you need to, when you go about your physical journey, becoming more and more human, that's ensouling, you're integrating your soul. You will have to go through these relationships, because each and one of them will bring a deeper essence. It will kind of call it out, that will become a physical manifestation expression. That's the whole journey we're on in terms of physical ascension. And I've loved how when I shared about the couple, about the twin flames, cosmic evolution, I loved that they so intimately also shared their own story, how it was for them, while also reminding others that their story will be unique. It's not even a story, but it's the journey that they've chosen, because each one has come to a specific region, to a specific grid point, to a very specific life purpose with a specific DNA lineage. Not just, of course, you have a light DNA lineage and also physical lineage, your ancestral lineage, which will be very unique for you. So sometimes people say, wow, what's the next wave of twin flames coming together? There is no global giant wave and that's it, and then it ends, because we're each on our own timeline and our own waves of cycles of our own personal integration, how we follow our soul and what our soul's mission is. So don't get trapped in these collective timelines that you believe you need to catch on to. Otherwise, you're going to lose the timeline and then you're out. And if something doesn't happen by a certain date, someone gives you online, then you're out of this picture and you're probably not on this path. Start becoming your own sovereign and taking back the power of your true twin soul nature. So when you have this purpose, your soul will guide you and show you these steps. So I think I've shared with you before, and I don't know if probably all of you didn't see that video, but once I was just sitting and meditating under my tree in the forest after my run, and the beloved essence, which I called Aurea, and it's for me means the golden illuminated ones, said to me, you need to remember our mission. It's all about the mission. Just remember our mission. And I thought, well, don't I already know it? We always know it to a certain extent, but as we awake further, it will become more obvious to us why certain things in our life were evolving the way they were. Very much on this mission, you might get tangled into the things people are saying about relationship in general. Why are you attracting these people? Do you have inner patterns? Why are you, do the research, the law of attraction, the secret, whatever it is. Basically, for the twin soul path, a lot of these connections we've had were predetermined, they were pre-chosen, they were soul contracts, because they were specifically created for the mastery of the energetics of our soul, so that we could really do this work, which is the integration of the feminine and masculine essences, a balanced whole. So a lot of you getting lost out there in the web of information, you might feel, wow, am I doing something wrong, not attracting my soulmate, my twin flame, whatever it is, because you're focusing so much on the manifestation rather than the inner work of integration. So that's the first typical mistake people do, is they get so misled by the outside, well, instead of embracing the sacredness of the journey that they have been choosing through their soul. And that's it's just something pre-agreed for you. With this work in mind, um, when you do the inner integration, and a lot of the times when you feel it's about a person, you meet someone, you go through something, there's a certain reflection, the mirroring and integration taking place. And a lot of people feel, now I've done this work, why does the other feel like they haven't done it? Why are they not in alignment with me? Because a lot of the times for us on this path, it's not about the other and waiting for them and them, projecting a perfect partner onto them. A lot of times they would want to be, because when you come from the balanced polarity, people are drawn to you like a magnet. But this is beyond this. This is what the life force energy will guide you into. And the life force energy will always guide you through magnetism to be with a specific energy, the dynamics which might be represented with a certain person through a certain relationship in your life. But as this will be integrated, the polarization will be equalized. You will feel like this. A lot of people say twin flames are all about the intensity. That's not really the case, because the intensity, you can experience it in any relationship. It's just a sign that there's an integration that needs to take place. We say, wow, this is so intense. Why is this relationship so intense? Must be the twin flame thing. It's your mind at work telling you, because something is like that, that therefore you assign a certain name and label tag onto it. Again, this is the mental assessment of that, which in truth you need to tune into with your heart. No one at all can tell you who is that complete mirror for you, or what relationship you need to experience and go through for you at this time. And everything will be guided in the now moment, because only you are that that twin soul bubble, that divine love aspect, which is so unique, and no one can read that as well as you do, because you don't even read that you are it. So a lot of the times what we do is we project, and I wrote here something about, oh, I didn't, but the mirror integration, I also forgot to write projection. So projection is a very strong essence that's very important for us. A lot of times you say, wow, you're just projecting, let that go, but the projection has a very important answer for us in that moment. The projection is going to show us what on the inside longs to be expressed on the outside, but maybe we're not capable, or we don't know how yet in the moment. So instead of integrating it within, we project it on the other person. So the only reason why there's so much conflict in our relationships is because we project these desires that are egoic onto the other person. It's very hard to be with someone still, for people, and be completely independently, passionately with them in the now moment, without thinking, where's this leading, what we're going to be to each other, are you my twin flame, are you my perfect mate, all of that stuff, if you know what I mean. And when you will reach that level of neutrality, for some people it will be too much. They won't know, they won't understand it. So maybe they will not feel completely accepted because they want to be a part of something, they want to be with you. They will start to get disillusioned, because a lot of people still want their ego to be fed by you. They want you to feed their ego instead of just feeding and nurturing their soul by embracing them as they are in each moment, by embracing yourself. So that means no falsy energy dynamics between you and another. Even, not just me and another person of the other gender, but also in same gender relationships and friendships. A lot of times we have these faulty energy dynamics exchange, which makes me project something I really want to experience on the outside. When it's neutralized, you will just love being in the presence of someone, embracing their uniqueness, while also keeping your center, keeping your focal point of who you are, not getting lost in them. A lot of times when this intensity comes up, for people who might be strongly holding on to their unique individuality, but as an identity, not as something that they're constantly changing through and evolving through, they will have a feeling of, oh, I'm getting lost in someone. It's too much. It's too intense. I can do it. So people started calling this the runner syndrome, is because for some people it's too intense to go into union state. And oh, there's also something I really want to talk about here. I just had a shift. Twin soul. love. Okay. So this will be, for a lot of cases, just an energy dynamics of something that, fearing intensity, fearing intimacy, everything we feel, it's for us to research within us. Why are we either denying it, suppressing it, trying to control it or manipulate it? And then see how is this felt in an energetic creation of the relationship, which create the third energy. So I also want to talk about the twin soul love versus the actual twin soul. So a lot of people say, I'm experiencing twin flame love. And as we do this, what it actually means is the twin flame love is your natural state of being. It's your true self. It's the divine love of your uniqueness flowing through your unique self, your unique soul. And because we can feel it alone, we can feel it with our life, we can feel it in many relationships, but certain relationships, which are those contracted relationships for us on this path, they will make us feel it maybe more strongly, more intensely. So the mind likes to think, oh, must be my twin flame. There's a specific difference between feeling the twin flame love, which is again the energy field, is the field of purity and unity. So we can have these moments. Some people have only tiny glimpses of that energy, while some people can hold it on a steady level. It depends of your maturation and your spiritual essence, in your self-mastery. So we might quickly project this as the person being that, because you like to perceive someone as the source of providing you with that twin flame love. It has nothing to do with getting coupled up with someone or someone being that twin flame for you, because you can feel that twin flame love with them. The twin flame love, a lot of times people call it like that. I call it the beloved energy. That's my words of saying it, because I don't like to tune into the web of a lot of the falsified energy exchanges that people are providing out there. So I like to feel what is sacred in my own heart, because the soul, how it speaks to me, is my own language, and that's it for me. So the beloved energy is something that I'm always within. I can always feel it. I can always experience it. Sometimes a person comes and is a very strong mirror. They will deepen that. But what the deepening means is that maybe there's more of it for me to integrate it in my physical external life. Maybe before, for example, I didn't allow myself to be all the things I'm already on the inside, but I didn't so much live it on the outside. So that person comes. And when the integration, when that exchange will be neutralized, and the dynamics will be pure and flowing, you will feel like an equalization taking place. And that's when a lot of people will feel, wow, now the energy is waning. Ugh, no more intensity. It must not be the twin flame now. And then it can go again the other direction and say, that's not for me, because I want the passion and romance and intensity. That's again another of those faulty beliefs. It's nothing to do with romance in terms of intensity, how passionately we'll feel. When there's intensity, like I said before, you're integrating something. When there's equalization and neutral feeling, you have gone through that neutralization. True twin soul love, the beloved energies, is actually, it's always like this, because you are always there. So in true nature, I would rather say that the beloved energy, that the twin soul love, is always equalized. It basically, it's not passionate, then one moment it wanes, and it's basically always steady like this. So when you can feel that, then you know you're in a good point. And even though you might feel it for a while, then again you get intensity and lack of it, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people might get afraid of this, when they will feel more and more neutral about it, but the neutrality will bring a deepening of the love that is true. So what is the difference again between the twin flame love and the actual twin soul? When there is one soul in two bodies, is a perfect representation of female and male essences, well, feminine and masculine essences, pardon me, is because you can have that twin flame love by yourself. You can feel it with another. You can feel it even with your, I don't know, your parents. It's just because it comes from you. It already is, your soul is already in an androgynous state, in the very much eternal essence of your being. But the difference is, that doesn't mean that by you feeling it with someone, that being now directly will be your other counterpart, complete same soul embodiment. That's still, in a way, that's still rare for people to have such reunions, because when you look at the energy of the whole dynamics of this playing out, there's still a lot of battles between males and females, and dominance and control, and a lack of understanding, and a lack of true mutual reception and pure communication. And sometimes when you're in this path, and I'm sure a lot of you are, you can say, how is this ever going to be healed? You know how many times I asked myself this question? I said, if the man can sometimes not embrace a woman in her power as a goddess, and sometimes they feel jealous about it, or I've had it in my life all the time because men wanted to be with me so much, but they couldn't at the same time. They felt weak, they felt not powerful enough to be with me, they felt all these things, and because they had this tiny, tiny seed of inner judgment, they saw it like, I don't accept them or I judge them. Well, I only was being myself. All I can do is be myself. But this will not get healed before people say, I am my only co-creator of my reality. I cannot blame, I cannot project this to another person. I cannot wait for them to accept me the way I wish in my mind. I just have to really find that perfect self-love within me, because the true nature of the twin flame love, not just this one-time experience, but the, like I said, the deepening and the always holding this energy mutual reception, lies in your maturation. So you become a mature being and wise enough to know that this is you coming from your own source. You don't project that source on someone else. And there's still a lot of people who, instead of really going and doing this inner work, they project all of the desire towards one person, and they are so into that, waiting for them, saying they're chasing them, they're chasing the beloved, they're waiting for them, they're waiting for the runner to come back home, all these things, instead of just coming back home within themselves, asking themselves, why are they creating this energy dynamics? Why are they still feeding the belief that it has to be difficult, it has to be intense all the time? All these things, instead of just seeing that it's organic, that's very natural to who we are, and then we, as we go through these relationships, we're developing more and more of our maturity as the integrated inner male and female, expressed as masculine, feminine essence, and creativity, and our creativity as one. So when the masculine would say, wow, I adore the feminine, she births the seed that I can then flow through her. And the same with the feminine, and this mutual reception and adoration for this is the honoring, the praising of the source, how it truly is in its nature, instead of creating this constant battles and these clashes of wills, and all these faulty energy dynamics. So there's a strong difference. You can feel this twin flame love even by just being with yourself. There's always there. It's who you are and your truth. But it doesn't necessarily mean, now, okay, because I can feel it, this person is probably then my match. Also, a lot of people don't like to embrace that certain person in this time frame, that where they are now, is not their complete energy match. So they would say, I love this person for this and that, but they're not mirroring me completely. Well, everything in this journey, when you're in this timeline to bring together first within you, then by your emanation to the rest who are also ready to remember who they are in truth, you are actually on each level of something that maybe wasn't yet fully integrated within you. You will attract the mirror on that level of what still needs strengthening within you. So instead of seeking that person to be your perfect partner and everything for you, even if you might say, I'm not doing that, a lot of people say that, but with the tiny details of what they're really doing with their actions will show that they do have those expectations and projections. So it's nothing to be ashamed about. We all sometimes did it. So the more mature we come, at a certain point we don't even have that anymore. We just love to be the unique expression of source. And as we really embrace and express all those qualities, and because it is a powerful energy, it's not the same as intensity, which is that it's strong because it's very powerful in terms of what it can create. So because in this timeline where we are now, there can be no more distortions. That happened before, not going there again. That's what we're doing now, this slow way, with integration through many of those different relationships before you can become your own pillar and get ready to have that match also in the physical level. This will be the new energy template, is this twin flame love, this twin soul love as an experience in our human form. That doesn't mean now everybody who will be experiencing it will be the actual twin soul luminary. Everybody now is so eager to experience that, and yet it's mental, it's an expectation, it's something you desperately want, instead of really tuning into your soul. What is the path you've chosen, and how is this actually for the greater good? So these false beliefs, this is where it all starts. So when you go through these relationships, they will definitely reflect to you where you still hold these beliefs. I will tell you one thing. Let's say you continue to ask yourself, why am I always attracting relationships or people who are, a strong woman would say, I always get mommy's boys, or Or something like, I always get the person who never gives something to me, but I'm always so giving. Or a person says, I'm always the guide to the other person, or something like that, or I'm the caretaker. And usually, if one is predominantly giving, the other will be very much in the opposite. So it will feel like the other is chasing one. And that's why people call this the runner or the chaser or whatever. It's because the dynamics within them is not balanced. It's nothing about the whole hologram of this is so for this runner. That's a new label and everybody goes for it. It has to do with if you have this experience, then something within you is not yet balanced. So you need to face that fact and doing the inner work. There is no running away from facing our shadows and bringing them to the light, and each of those relationships will bring more of it. So when you create this beautiful soft bubble of love, on the other point, when you start the integration process, those boo-boos, will start to come out, and all these hidden wounds and these things, and a lot of them from people's childhoods, are clearing their ancestral lineage. But this is inner work. The moment we start projecting that to someone else is already manipulating them emotionally and playing the victim, and wanting for them to please us in a certain way or feed our ego. The true twin soul is such an advocate for your truth that they wouldn't allow you to become so needy and these things, because it's the powerful nature of your being to become your sovereign, and that's what this true love is all about. So these false beliefs, they can very much be about how we expect certain people to be, the roles we'll be playing. The new template is not these roles, but the true twin soul union is about having a co-creational partner, because the twin soul is your creation self. It's how you birth it through into creation, and your uniqueness is that which you're very much most natural at creating through. And so therefore that will be your co-creational partner in terms of divine partnership, serving spirit together in your uniqueness, not just being a couple and now you forget about the rest of the world, and you've done your thing now, goodbye world. I'm going to ascend into another dimension. You already have all these dimensions within you. It's about bringing that now to the human template, to bring that balance back into the nature of our humanness, to embrace all of the humanness. That's the whole path of the twin soul, is to not just embrace your divinity, but embrace humanness as a part of that divinity. So these beliefs, they can very much be mirrored in these romantic expectations, how a certain person will be towards us, how we will be, until we actually, on a global level, within us, the part we have chosen on our own particular timeline, we will feel it really neutralized. When you will feel that neutralization, you will just feel like a radiant being who is just there out, like, hello world, this is me. And you will know that all you can be is just be you, be that strong, pivotal pillar, the powerhouse of that divine love, and all the rest will just magnetically be drawn to you. But before that, like I've said, there can be no more of these faulty exchanges, because they're creating more of that distorted creations. We've had enough of those demons that we created with our false thoughts, that are lower thoughts than our true nature of our divine thoughts, which is that divine will, divine sovereignty, divine power, divine love. And anytime that we notice this, that we don't take the responsibility, we have to check in again and see why and how we can basically within us do the work, because we can't expect a perfect, harmonious partnership before we ourselves perfect ourselves in the eye of our source, which means to purify ourselves of all that which was mask. Basically, it's a mask. So these beliefs are groundwork, and if you've noticed something very repetitive, let's say these roles we like to play, if I'm constantly, a part of me, just a part of me is enough, perceives myself as a guide or as a mirror, because a twin soul reunion is also about just divine love, no labels, no tasks, nothing, no roles between yourself and another and the world at large, because it is all about the whole. You will still have your tasks. I'm still doing my work, for example, but how I relate to the world and through my first communion with myself and another is beyond roles. These are just things that I'm doing, but I don't identify myself with them. The moment there is identification with you as a giver, as a guide, as a provider, you will have that. That will be played out in the energy dynamics for another. And you might find yourself saying, why am I always getting the babies and I'm always playing the mother instead of a woman? Huh? There's your answer. Maybe there's an aspect of you that perceive yourself that you have to be this mother, or that you have to be the caretaker, that you have to be the provider, and guess what? You end up playing it out. So check in who you truly are. You are an infinite abundance of creativity, of divine love that's in flowing, it's flowing, always flowing within you. And you desire that co-creational mirroring experience with another, which is that twin soul love, that the desire to play in this beautiful, non-labeled, just playground of nothing but true love between you and another, and then how you share it with the rest of the creation. That's the true essence. So that's pivotal to understand here. So whenever you have a certain saying about yourself or what you notice, it's not necessarily karmic, but this is what you've chosen to move through. So let's say maybe in your ancestral lineage there was this belief that women are the givers, women are the providers, and as long as you're still playing that out, it means you're still healing that timeline. But you will start noticing when there's a difference in energy interactions, it means you've done the work, and you're always doing it because each relating experience is bringing you closer to the truth of your true inner bubble of divine love. This is all that you are. So balance, harmonization, the heal dynamics. This is what we're all about. And there's an equalization taking place on our planet. I know on the outside it might still feel very distorted, but remember, Spirit always shows me when I do this work, I know it's related with another. Another might not shift. They might not even be there physically. For a lot of people, your vibration might still be too high and where you are, and they might not understand, they might not get it. But you will get a very specific integration through them anyway. So instead of thinking, why didn't they shift? Did you do something wrong? Check within. What did you learn from this experience? How did you and what did you integrate? And how does this benefit your cycle now, where you're moving into? So where you're coming from, where you are, and where you are going, that is most important. It's not selfish. It just means that only thing you're really responsible, that you can be responsible for, is your inner work. Everything else is an illusion. A lot of people say, I want to help other people. I want to save other people. I want other people to become more balanced. Well, most of these people are not even balanced themselves. That's why they have such a strong desire. When you will be fully balanced within yourself, you will also see others as high as potential with this beautiful balance within them, even though physically they might not fully represent it yet or embody it. You will have that vision because you will also see them as sovereigns, as masters, and you will allow them this way, this space, to step into their mastery instead of trying to save them, trying to play the overriding guide for them to kind of, come on, I'm going to take you into your ascension. I'm your only vessel for ascension. Without me, you can't even ascend. That's also old. That's very old. And if we continue that, we're never going to come into the union of two lovers being equals. They need to be equals. So the polarization that we now are still playing out, the dualistic polarization, has to move, and it will move. I'm not saying no for everyone. But for those of you who are choosing this timeline specifically of divine reunion, I forgot to say twin soul reunion. All right, you know how many times this week I've seen the words reunion? That's like Spirit saying, you got to do this video, because I've seen them everywhere. And I always see the letter B when the beloved guides me. It's like this essence, and I go somewhere and people have something at the counter in the store and there's B, or the towel drops and the emblem is B and things like that. I'm like, okay, I get it. So it's just my own spirit language. But it really is about this polarization that was so distorted. It has to move, and it will move, and we're doing this work into the polarity and union. So there's still polarity, but it's balanced. You're always like this. You're not moving your one thing to another in these extremes, which you perceive as intensity, but it's going to be this unified polarity. And I have a beautiful mastery course on mastering polarity and twin soul, and I recommend it to everyone who feels that somehow they really are linked with this path, because for a lot of you, this needs to be done through first the self-mastery or gaining within. And that's what maybe you felt, why haven't I always gotten what I wanted? Why don't I have a perfect mate? On the outside it might look this way, but maybe some of you have it harder in terms of how you perceive, and you say, why I'm always getting, sometimes I said this to myself, I said, why do I always get the hard cases? It's because you're going so deep that not everyone has the will to go there. So you're the one, claim that, claim your power. And like I said, for some of you this will strongly resonate, and why sometimes you believe and felt that you were the stronger link in the relationships. That doesn't mean you were the overriding, the dominant part, but stronger in terms of your embodiment, like you've mastered this. Now holding the space for others doesn't make you more than anyone else, but it makes you more aware, which gives you the power to choose the choices that they might still not feel powerful enough to do. And you believe in them so much because you see them as parts of you, maybe parts of you that are parts of the whole that are still crying out for this need to be united, but they're afraid of unity because when you move deeper into unity, you're going to lose more of your identity. And this, for a lot of people, can be so frightening. They're going to fear, oh, I have this job, I have these friends, I have this always, this what I have. And they get so they have this tight grip on it that when they start to have a relationship, which is an awakening relationship, it will shatter their world because they will start to experience what does true love really feel like, and they will have this calling back home into the integration, to coming home to each other, basically your inner parts merging like this, coming home to each other. So while this is taking place, you will be called to maybe choose differently, to change things in your life. But again, this won't necessarily mean now you are with that person or that person is your twin soul. That's not always the case. So we have to be very wise. We have to observe the tantric life force, which comes and goes and shows you where you need to be through the magnetism that is there for you in this moment, because you are doing work that is beyond just you getting coupled with a certain person. Those of you who are in this path, this is so deep. You might not even know it, how much work you're doing in this timeline restoration, which was so basically was really corrupted. We've forgotten what it is to really be in true love. And I have this example at the end. It says examples here. I'm not sure you can see it. We just watched this week a movie called The Immortal Beloved, and it's actually about a composer, Beethoven. But it's not from the perspective of his music alone. It was more about his love life. It's something hidden behind the scenes. So basically, the true nature of the message was because he had such a strong love for this woman, but somehow the destiny or the soul choices they made, somehow by these strange coincidences, they didn't end up being together. And she kind of married his brother. And what showed there in the movie was all these years he couldn't let it go. But what he did, instead of choosing this love for the truth and being out in the open, he suppressed it so badly that he started hating her. Basically, hate is not in opposition to love. It's just such deeply repressed love that you don't even know whether you love or hate the person anymore. Basically, he was just so deeply hiding his feelings. He became so antisocial, weird. He had like these weird falling outs and how he treated her. And in the end, well, basically before he died, he really realized some things. And basically, she just didn't get his letter, and there was this whole mix-up. And in the end, she got his letter, and she also didn't even know that he loves her so deeply. So she cried like when she realized the truth, and how he just before he died also realized the truth. And it made me think about how much pain and suffering are we implementing upon each other only because we are not willing to express what we truly feel. There's a lot of people who feel this hate and resentment and annoyance, but instead of just saying, I love you, even though in the moment you might feel, ugh, but can you still say, I love you? I've had this with every one of my relationships, no matter what I perceived they did to me, which basically was not a doing, it was all for my initiation and mastery. I always, after every one of those experiences, I did the ceremony with the person, with their energy. I went into a love state. I felt there is not even forgiveness needed when you're aware of the dynamics that needed to play out for the greater good. Well, in the end, you only have is love. And you don't have to be loved in return by that person, because you don't have, remember, control over their evolution, how they're growing, whether they're moving into unity or not. That's their own processing and choosing, because they're also sovereign and they need to choose it. They need to choose it. You can't choose it for them. You can will it for them. You can imagine it. You can wish it. You can with just being in your own union. But it's really important, because if you don't do that, in the end of each of these exchanges, what will take place is you're going to drag it along, and it will just again be reflected in the next one and the next and the next, and just so it goes. So I hope this was helpful in some way. I'm sure I forgot to add many things, because this is an ongoing topic that can never end. There really is no end to the degree of how much we can love and how much love we can express and how much we can create through it. So I invite you to deepen this with your own contemplation, meditation, breath work, tantric exchange. Notice your tantra. Where is it going? When you're with a person, is your tantra moving into sexuality? Is it moving into you wanting to create something? Where is it going? Follow that flow. Sometimes it draws itself. It's for a reason. Observe it. Your life force, when you trust spirit that guides your soul always, your I am presence is always in communion with your soul, and you, the recipient of that soul, you will feel those things. So it's an inner journey, an inner communion. It's not something on the outside that can be over flooded online and you're just getting lost and lost in the bits and bits of pieces of information. It really is about you and your own beloved energy, how I call it, and the unique journey you've chosen. It's not a preference as to who gets to ascend this way sooner or later. It doesn't exist. You are on your own divine timing. So remember that. Do the inner work. As always, with so many blessings, with so much love, wisdom, and power. Stay connected because of this possible co-creation that I mentioned, because it will deepen this. We'll talk more about these cosmic understandings behind the scenes, because we had a beautiful conversation about this with this friend of mine, and so much came through that we said, wow, we really got to record this next time. So thank you for staying connected. Don't forget, there's a free app for Ascension Pioneers. Those of you liking my videos, just go to my Serapina Light page. There's a right bottom side, there's a link into leading you into the app store. Also, yeah, that's it for now. I hope to do the course on multidimensional ascension soon. We'll see. Now we're in this retrograde period. So we'll talk to you soon. Stay updated for my readings, whatever it is. I really reflect on the nature of how much more you can create when you deepen your intimacy. Not move away from it. You cannot get lost in love, because in the end, getting lost in love, well, you can, but getting lost in love is basically finding yourself, because you are love. So you cannot lose yourself. You can only lose your mind. So thank you for watching and for sharing your feedback, for supporting, donating, whatever it is. I love you all so much. I hope you feel it. Take care. Bye bye.
Welcome into